The big news yesterday was President Obama's moving speech on guns.
And it was moving as well, wasn't it?
Incredibly moving. We'll show a clip of it right now.
Our unalienable right to life and liberty and the pursuit of happiness, those rights were stripped from college kids in Blacksburg and Santa Barbara and from high schoolers at Columbine and from first graders in Newtown. First graders. And from every family who never imagined that their loved one would be taken from our lives by a bullet from a gun. Every time I think about those kids, it gets me mad. And by the way, it happens on the streets of Chicago every day. So, all of us need to demand a Congress brave enough to stand up to the gun lobby's lies. All of us need to stand up and protect its citizens.
You know, I've stood in that East Room where he gave that talk and literally been no more than 10 feet away from the president and the vice president. They were talking about immigration back then. And you usually have 300 or 400 people sitting in that room who are directly related to the issue. To see, first of all, tears streaming, number one, but his power up close like that as an orator about getting things done is unprecedented. He has that ability to communicate in the room in a way that almost doesn't come across on the telly, even though this came across very well.
He certainly did communicate and was very emotional in that. I mean, he's got whatever it is, it a year now? I mean, it was one of his guiding lights that this will be, I presume, and it will be the final major domestic achievement.
It's 1 year and 12 days.
Yeah. I mean, the irony is, it's about checks before you buy a gun. Basically, the irony is these are pretty basic things.
Well, and of course the right wing is freaked out completely.
Oh well, that's
he's overreached again with his executive actions when he's had less executive orders of any president out there. If you look at what Bush did and what Bush the father did before.
When Johnson did use those actions in order to tell southern states to treat black people like white people and exactly the same. Was that an executive action?
Well, there was executive action, but there was also an act in Congress. I mean, he did the Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Act were the two major cornerstones.
Yeah.
But he still then had to order the National Guard to go into some of those states. I mean, for example,
because they were clinging on to their own supposed own powers.
I mean, it's going on right now in Alabama with gay marriage.
Yeah.
I mean, the governor of Alabama has ordered every one of the clerks of court in every one of their counties to not issue gay marriage license when the Supreme Court came down and said it's legal in the states. So stop. So you will always have this Governor Wallace type mentality. George Wallace, who was the anti-segregation. Also Alabama. Yeah. You will always have that faction of people who have zero respect for federal laws.